Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Flip Weekly podcast, the very last episode before 2026. I hope you're excited. Very excited to come to you today with the top 10 flips of 2025. What a year it has been. This has been a year where we've completely devoted ourselves to flipping as much as you can for a side gig, and the results speak for themselves. The results for my eBay store have been, compared to last year, incredible. I think we have some stats here that I'm going to go through for how well we've done, and I think it's a testament to the growth and the amount of knowledge that just doing this every single week has brought to me. You know, like my sales for this year are up 87.7% compared to last year. My average sale price has jumped from $72 last year to $115 this year. And that's what I'm most proud of, or one of the things I'm most proud of, is that every single week I can come to you with a Flip Weekly podcast and a Flip Weekly newsletter with items that sell for over $100. We're not talking about plush toys that sell for $5, $10. We're not making $1, $2, $3. We're making over $100 per sale. And this is a conversation I had with Australia Post the other day, where they're always encouraging me to buy in bulk. Buy your padded mailers, your boxes, everything in bulk, because you're going to be saving, in the long run, about like 80 cents per box or like 15 cents per padded mailer. And I just need to say that, dude, we're not working on nickels and dimes over here. Yes, it would save us money, sure, but our profit margins are so high that honestly, I do not care if I'm going to be saving $1 by buying 100 boxes and storing them in my place. Look, we have a small Sydney apartment. We can't afford to be filling up rooms with hundreds of boxes, hundreds of padded mailers to save a couple of cents every time we send something out. So this is what I am happy about for this year, is that everything that we sell is over $100, or at the very least close to it, unless it's something really fucking cool, right? So I just realized that it is December 1st that this is coming out. So it is the first podcast of the year. Maybe we should change our tune from like this is the last one for 2025 to upbeat, excited that 2026 is going to be a hell of a year. I mean, if we're going to be increasing our sales again, if that's possible, then we're going to have an amazing 2026. Look, if we go from $72 last year, average sale price, to $115 this year, can we go for even more, $200 average sale price? I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. I think if we did $200 average sale price, I would not be able to consistently come to you with a podcast or a newsletter. But look, if you're new here, this is a podcast all about reselling. We find things in thrift stores, we find things on Facebook Marketplace, we find things at garage sales, and we try and resell them for profit. And we do a really, really good job. Every single week, I have people messaging me saying just how well they're doing reselling from reading the newsletter or listening to the podcast, and that is what this is all about. I want to share with you as much as I can so that you can go out there and you can find items that you're going to be able to make money with. Look, this is all that Flip Weekly is about, is making money. Not just me, you too. I'm not holding anything back. I'm telling you everything that I find, everything that's, I guess, a bolo, and together we can make some money. So look, let's just go through some stats for this year before I go through my top 10 flips of 2025. I'm really excited to tell you about these flips. It's crazy because when we compare them to last year, number one item was a sports jersey that sold for something like $550. I was really proud of that flip. I think I picked it up for like $15-20 in a thrift store. Sold it for $550 on eBay. And look, I was incredibly proud of that sale. But here's the thing. If you put that sale in 2025's top 10 flips, it doesn't even make the top 5. That's how much we've improved since last year. Like, number 10 is pretty much a $500 sale, which is the number one from last year. So I'm really excited to get through those with you. But first, look, it's a week after Christmas time. I hope that everyone had a great Christmas. Hope you're able to eat some food. Hope you're able to drink some beer, drink some wine, drink some bourbon, and just overall have a great time. I had Christmas with my family. I was able to see bits and pieces of my family. I traveled on Christmas Day. No, I didn't. I traveled over the Christmas break, and I'll be having a second Christmas with the other parts of my family at the end of January, a belated Christmas, which sort of sucks that we weren't all together, but look, that's just the way it goes. And it just means that we're able to, buy some presents with, I guess, Boxing Day sales or whatever the sales that happen after Christmas. I just guess regular sales. So there's less pressure on me to buy as much as I can before Christmas time. I was contacted by SBS today. They were asking for comments about reselling Christmas presents, which I thought was interesting. I responded to them. They never responded back. At least they haven't at time of recording. But I'd love to be able to talk about reselling Christmas presents. If you got Christmas presents and you do not like them, the best thing you can do is resell them. Do not go and donate them straight to charity. You want to get some money yourself. So always keep in mind, don't open that sealed present. If you don't like it, you're going to get more money if that thing is sealed. So I don't know. That's just in the forefront of my mind right now because I was like pre-preparing some answers to questions, but nothing came to fruition. Oh, I forgot to tell you, by the way, that a current affair contacted me last week asking, well, they didn't ask anything. They sent me through multiple emails and they was like, can you get in touch with us? And I just had to laugh because I'm not doing a current affair unless they come knocking on the door. So I just replied to them. I called the chick back and I said, she didn't answer, but I said in the email response, I said, look, this was just going to be a courtesy call. There's essentially no fucking way I'd ever do a current affair. So thank you for for reaching out. But look, you're not going to be seeing me on a current affair. You might be hearing me on SBS, but look, we're going to move forward and we're going to be talking about top 10 flips. But again, just before we do that, I know that I'm sort of stalling a bit here, but I want to go through some stats that I've wrote down just to pat myself on the back because I think that, look, if you don't do it yourself, no one else is going to be doing it. And this is going to be, I guess what I get out of the podcast, what I get out of the newsletter is at the end of the year, seeing what we've been able to accomplish. So for the Flip Weekly newsletter, I am proud that every single week an issue went out. We didn't miss a single week. There's so much that goes on throughout the year that you would assume at least one issue would be skipped, would be left over, would be fucking forgotten. I have the memory of a goldfish, but no, not a single episode or issue was missed. And the average word count for the Flip Weekly newsletter has gone up from last year. It was 2,700 words last year. It's gone up to 3,300. That is a total of 165,000 words that I wrote this year, which is insane. I am not a writer. I do not think I'm a good writer, and yet we've been able to write 165,000 fucking words. Is that not a lot? That is fucking insane, man. Can you imagine if I had to write it out? Imagine if it wasn't typed and you had to decipher my handwriting. Fucking hell. It's bad enough when you go to the post office and they're reading. Oh, you guys are probably more organized than me printing out your labels, but I handwrite everything because I'm a lazy cunt. But every single time I write something out, I feel like I have to apologize for my handwriting because the ladies at the post office are like, okay, so we're going to read this out. And it literally happened today where she's about to type in the suburb and she's like a C. Starts off with a C. I'm looking at it. I'm like, that's my version of an R. I'm sorry. I have to apologize. But look, the next stat, and this is, I find this impressive because we only went on TikTok midway through the year, I think. But we were able to amass over 1.4 million views on TikTok, which I think is good. I mean, I would love if those views were on the podcast or on the newsletter and not meaningless views on a social media platform that people just scroll through. I don't know what the value of those views. I don't think TikTok, the value of those views, I don't think compared to like an Instagram or a YouTube. Same with the followers. They're not worth as much. But then we have the amount of followers that we gained on Instagram. We went up to 7,000 followers. So we've been able to get at least, I think at the beginning of the year we're at 1,000 and something. So we've gone from 1,000 to 7,000. Really happy about that. And like I said earlier, our average sale price, it rose from $72 to $115. And you might think like, Matt, why the fuck do I care about your average sale price? I think you should care because everything that I sell, I tell you about. So if you're following Flip Weekly and last year you were buying some things that I was talking about, you would be selling them for $70, but now you're selling them for $115. Nothing that I'm telling you about is ever going to be selling for 20, 25 bucks. So if you hear something I talk about and it's 100, you just think like the average sale price is $115. So buy that shit whenever I talk about it. And because we were able to increase that average sale price, our total sales rose by 87%. I think we mustn't have done very well last year. I think I was committed in a way to this last year, but I mean, to rise by 87%, that's a fucking lot. Right. And then throughout the year, the podcast launched. I was really excited that we're able to launch that. The traction on it, I mean, it's been okay. People are listening and writing in and talking, and I think we got like 3 reviews on Spotify and no, three written reviews. And I think 10 ratings with somebody not giving it a 5-star rating. So we're 4.8 on Spotify. As somewhat of I was going to say a perfectionist, but I'm not a perfectionist because then this podcast would be so much better. I really fucking hate that as a 4.8 though, with only 10 ratings. So if you're listening to this, give it a rate, get that up. The thing is, I think I would need, you work out the maths. I would need like 100 5-star reviews 105-star ratings to get that to 5, because otherwise we're just going to go up to 4.9. Either way, if you're listening and haven't given us a rating, give us a fucking rating, please. So we launched the Flip Weekly podcast throughout the year, beginning of the year. And again, just like the newsletter, we're able to do one podcast episode every single week without fail. Last week, Christmas, it went out on Christmas Day. We didn't miss it. I mean, it wasn't your traditional podcast. The views were way down, I think, because nobody wants to listen to a podcast on Christmas Day. But without fail, every single week we're able to release a podcast. And from those episodes, the average length has been 59 minutes and 55 seconds. That would have been really cool if it was an average of an hour, 60 minutes exactly. But no, we've done 45 episodes, and that's 44 hours and 55 minutes worth of audio. So it's a lot of talking, and I edit these myself, and usually it averages about 3 minutes of editing per 1 minute of talking. So as you can imagine, when you're recording a podcast that's an hour long and you spend 3 hours recording it, it does get very tedious, and you want to fucking, jump off the cliff. But we're consistent. We do it. We don't complain until the end of the year. So that's it. But yeah, these are all just like random stats. But I think whilst I'm patting myself on the back, I think that these are all good things for you. The more you learn, the better you get at flipping. If you're reading the newsletter, you get to see everything that we bought, everything that we sold. You can memorize that, or you can at least put it somewhere in your brain that when you go out to thrift stores, garage sales, or you're checking Facebook Marketplace, you'll be able to think back, oh, Matt had this and it sold. It must have sold for at least, average sale price, $115. And if you can get it cheap, then you're making some money. So yeah, I think like the overall net benefits for me for Flip Weekly have been positive. I think for you, I hope you're getting something out of it. Over the full year, you're getting, 200,000 words and 45 hours of audio. Like that's fucking like full commutes worth of audio. Listen on your commute, listen when you're doing your fucking job, listening when you're, walking through Savers or a thrift store. So I really hope that you're getting something out of the Flip Weekly podcast and the Flip Weekly newsletter. And look, we should just jump into the top 10 flips of 2025. I'm going to go through them. We're going to start at number 10, work our way down. And every single thing here is going to be selling for a lot of money. So let's do it. So we're going to start off with number 10. What do we have here? We have a thrift store find purchased in a Savers for $5. It sold in less than 1 week. It was the Art of Oddworld Inhabitants, which is a video game, but it's the art of it. It sold in less than a week, $450. That's $5 into $450. I had a lot of success this year with books. I've said before that I guess I'm technically a bookseller, but I had a look at my sales for 2025. Books were not my number one category. They're my number two category. And I mean, I think that's a surprise considering I feel like I don't know fucking anything about books. My book knowledge is less than impressive. I don't really know what sells. I mean, I don't know anything about rare books. I just pick up anything that looks a bit unusual. That's what I did here. You can see the video of me finding that on Instagram. And we've had luck this year with the books that fall into the category of like the making of or the art of. Those always seem to sell for a lot of money. This year we also had a sale of, I think it was like $200 for the art of Zootopia. Those books can do really, really well. It sold quite quickly off memory too, but yeah, we sold this book for $450 after purchasing it for $5. So that comes in at number 10. Oh, by the way, I said less than a week. I swear to God, this sold in like 24, 48 hours. I remember it was off to, it was off somewhere overseas. So yeah, it was a good sale. I think at the time there was active listings close to like $1,000. They were reaching for the stars. There were sold listings. What I was aiming for about $500, and I must have accepted a best offer of $450 just because like who the fuck wouldn't accept that when you buy it for $5? So yeah, 5 into 450 at number 10. And then number 9, we have something else that I purchased from a thrift store. I paid $7 and it sold within 48 hours. And I swear to God, once I listed this up, I was receiving a message or messages and offers from people almost instantly. It is the Bosun Bill Beanley Rum mug. So this is a mug, a pottery mug that is in the face of some dude that looks like Winston Churchill. He has a hat on that says Bosun Bill Beanley Rum. I guess it's some rum distillery within Australia. I think remembering back, it was like the oldest distillery or the oldest rum distillery in Australia or within the state. Look, I did a tiny bit of research at the time, enough to realize that this was a rare piece. And look, I still don't really know what it is. I don't understand why somebody would pay what they paid for it. I bought this for $7 and it sold for $500 fucking dollars. This was a really, really big sale. And I mean, I remember the exact day that I went to Savers. I saw this on the edge of one of the shelves and I took a photo of it just because it looked weird. And I remember conversations with collectors talking about Bundaberg rum always being highly sought after, very collectible and worth a lot of money if you can find the right thing. So when I saw rum on this mug, I thought, well, who knows? So I took a photo and I walked away from it as I usually do. And then I came across like an eBay listing that was like asking like $850 for this exact same mug. And I was like, whoa, like maybe we should turn around and go check this thing out. So that's what I did. I picked it up and yeah, listed online. I think I remember receiving the offer, or I remember seeing the sale come in when I was at Australia Post, just thinking like, holy shit, I can't believe this fucking mug. That looks hideous. I mean, it's a fucking ugly fat dude's face with a horrible blue cap on with disgusting eyebrows, like bushy as fuck eyebrows. But somebody out there liked it. Somebody out there collects this sort of shit, and who am I to judge? I'm happy that it sold for $500 fucking dollars. You can see me finding that mug on social media. Most of these items that I found that are making it into the top 10, there's videos on, Instagram and TikTok and social media. So make sure you check those out. So that was number 8, 7 into $500 fucking dollars. So we're moving on to, that was number 9. So yeah, we're moving on to number 8 now. And this was something that I bought in a huge bundle. I was at my sister's place and I guess maybe the conversation died down, or I was just bored and I brought out my phone and I quickly checked to see what was on Marketplace, and there was a listing there for Nintendo 64 shit. It was a huge bundle, and at the time it was a lady that didn't really know what they had. I think she said she was looking for advice or looking for some sort of information about all of these items. She had so much shit within these photos. And I messaged within the first, I guess, 20 minutes. She was being inundated with messages. She had like a Pokemon Nintendo 64 console, a whole bunch of games. She had no idea what to price them at. And I sent her a message. I was like, look, you're probably being inundated, but if you want a fair price, I'll help you get a fair price, or I'll give you a fair price. Just let me know. And I was looking through the photos, and at first I wasn't too sure that this was going to be worth going out there. You know, I didn't know at the time. Like, I was looking through the games, I was looking through the consoles, the controllers, and I thought like, okay, this is like a decent bundle, but I'm not sure if it's a home run. And then, you know, she didn't get back to me straight away because she was getting inundated. And then eventually she came back and she said, one of the numbers that's being thrown out is $550. That's how much people were like offering her. So I was like, okay, let me think about it. You know, I'm just around the corner at the time. I was outside the city. This was a good pickup because obviously it wouldn't have came up on my feed if I wasn't close to it. But the reason I pulled the trigger, the reason why I said yes to $550, you know, that was a lot of money at the time because I think that's the most I've ever paid for a Facebook Marketplace pickup. Usually we like to turn $1 into $100. We don't like to turn $550 into, I mean, if we're spending $550 and we're expecting 100 times return, we're not going to get that, right? That's insane. So I wasn't 100% about spending that much money. And to be honest, I'm surprised I got the deal because I didn't act with the decisiveness that I usually act when it comes to Facebook Marketplace. Usually with Facebook Marketplace, you need to say straight away, done, deal, I'm coming out, look, give me your address. You know, almost like weirdly, not weirdly aggressive, but weirdly like I'm ready to go. You know, you don't want to be like, oh, is it working? Blah, blah, blah. Because when you're getting inundated with messages, you're going to ignore those messages and you're going to reply to the person that's like, let's do it. So that was a surprise. And the reason, I think I'm repeating myself here, but the reason I pulled the trigger was because I saw one of the games and I looked it up and it was this game. It was StarCraft 64, and StarCraft 64 ended up being the most expensive Nintendo 64 PAL game currently on the market. This thing sells for a lot of money. And I mean, we bought that within the deal. Since then, pretty much everything from that bundle has sold off, including like the Pokemon Nintendo 64 console, the controllers, all the other games that she had. There was a huge amount of value there. This game, StarCraft 64, has sold, or it did sell, for $520. So that was, I mean, it's hard to give you an exact number in terms of what it ended up being per item. But look, this one game sold for $520. The total listed value for everything in that bundle was $2,500. So it was 500 into 200 into 2,500. But yeah, this one game, massive value. I don't know if you'll ever find it out in the wild. I don't know if you'll ever find it in a deal. But look, StarCraft 64, what an insane find. Number 7 is a bit bittersweet. I originally wasn't too happy about including it because we paid up for it. I spent $200 on a PlayStation 2 pink limited edition console bundle, including the box. I bought it from a woman who I think was a reseller, but when she looked this up, she must have just Googled or eBayed PlayStation 2 boxed or PlayStation 2, saw that they sell for around $200. But this one being limited edition, being pink, it is it's worth a lot more. And look, the reason why I'm bittersweet about it is because we turned $200 into $550. That just doesn't have that same sort of pizzazz as like a 5 into 500. You know, 200 into 550. It feels a bit like cheating. You know, I don't want to have a top 10 list where it's like I bought this Pokemon card for $1,000 and sold it for like $1,200. You know what I mean? So I think that the flipping gods came back to bite me in the ass because the person that bought this, they saved it for Christmas time, and I got everyone's favorite message on Christmas Day saying it was opened up, and within 15 minutes, after playing it for 15 minutes, it died. So that was a really, really fun message to receive on Christmas. And I just went through the standard protocol. I asked if they could do certain tests on it to make sure that it was actually, dead. Tried out different TVs, tried out with different cables, all that sort of bullshit. They did that. They came back saying, look, it's still broken. And the only thing I could do was say, accept that I'm fucked. Please send it back. I'll give you a full refund. As of recording, I still haven't gotten it back, so I'm not too sure what is actually wrong with it. I'm not a repairman. As much as I've said before that I can repair fucking Sony Walkmans, I can't repair PlayStations. I don't know what the problem's going to be. I might have to sell the console as parts. I might have to, piece it out. I don't know. I really don't know. But that was going to be number 7. I'm still keeping it in there because we did have the sale, even though it's coming back. But yeah, that came in at number 7, 200 into 550. But we're going to move on. We're going to get rid of these $500 numbers. We're going to jump up. We're going to jump up to number 6. And this was a crazy find because it was within a Save the Children's op shop. And it blew my mind because the people within the op shop knew that this was worth a lot of money, and yet they still sold it to me for $35. They said, we actually looked this thing up. This thing's worth a lot of money. This is worth close to $1,000. And I'm buying it for $35. I'm like, okay, why the fuck is it not $1,000 then? This is an op shop. If an op shop sees something for $1,000, they're going to price it up to fucking $1,000. But you Save the Children, you're pricing it $35. And they're like, yeah, just, nobody around here really knows or really cares about this product. So we're going to put $35 on it. And I'm just thinking what the fuck is this logic? What is this logic? You're assuming that nobody in this area, and granted, nobody probably does, but I don't understand why you would think, okay, this thing's worth $1,000, but because nobody really cares about it here, we're going to put $35 on it. And the item that was a pen. And look, you can now understand, I guess, their mindset of, yeah, it's worth $1,000, but nobody in Sydney cares about pens, so we're going to put it up for $35. It was a Mont Blanc. This just reminds me. I think I talked about this on the podcast. I don't know how you really pronounce it, whether it's Mont Blanc. It feels like I'm saying it wrong, but then I don't want to be one of those people, that goes to a cafe and it's like, I'll have a croissant. You know what I mean? I'll have a fucking croissant. This is a Mont Blanc, whatever. Ingrid Bergman La Donna Special Edition Rollerball Pen. It came with the original box. It had all the papers. And I don't know. What else can I say? It's a fucking pen. And somebody has bought this, or somebody bought this after I spent $35 in Save the Children op shop for $650. I was a bit surprised that it sold, first of all, so quickly and for so much money, because yes, you can say oh yeah, it's worth $650 or it's worth close to $1,000, but when are people going to be paying that for a pen? What's the market like for pens? I don't really sell pens. I don't see them enough, especially these high valued pens. So this was my first time really selling a high valued pen. It went well. I didn't get a return. I'm pretty sure it went off to one of those oil-rich countries. So I guess that makes sense as to who is buying this shit. But yeah, $650 for a pen that we found for $35. I'm pretty sure there's a video about finding that pen on social media, so you can find it. In terms of what the pen looked like, I think it looked okay. It looked fine. I think, not to put gender stereotypes or whatever out there, I think it was a woman's pen. It had a little, it wasn't a pearl. Oh, I'm going to fucking mess up these crystals and amethyst bullshit, but it had something like that on the tip of it. It was cool. It was a nice pen. Would I spend $650 on it? I think I would if I was oil rich, but alas, we are not. Now, number 5, man, looking at this honestly feels feels longer than a year ago that we found this, but we bought it this year. I paid $5 for it. I remember finding it in the Vinnies. It was just laying on the floor. When you go into op shops and it looks like kids have fucking ravaged the toy aisle? like the children's aisle. And, the amount of times I hear at Savers, people over the intercom saying, like, look after your fucking kids. They don't have that intercom system at Vinnie's, so they can't say that. But yeah, this was just laying on the floor. I comped it up. I could see some listings. I was like, this can't be right. This amount of money can't be right for what this is. I paid $5 for it. It was a Blythe doll. Now, this is just a doll within its box. For doll collectors out there, it's called an all gold in one. The box was open, but the items inside were sealed. You can still see the $5 price tag on the Flip Weekly newsletter if you check that out. But man, these dolls, every time I'm looking at dolls now, I'm looking for these fucking things because they sell for so much money. If you see these dolls, they're distinguishable through their fucking, like PTSD eyes. They have giant eyes, barely any eyelids. They have a string on the back of their head, so you pull that and their eyes change. And I bought this for $5, and just for fucking fun, I put it up for auction, and it sold 1 week later for $711 for a fucking doll. Absolutely crazy purchase. And like I said, it feels like a lifetime ago. It doesn't feel like this year that we found that and we had that much success with it. But yes, that was just this year that we sold a Blythe doll from $5 into $711. So that was number 5. Moving on to number 4, we paid up. Most of these things that we've bought so far have been from thrift stores and op shops. This next one was a Facebook Marketplace deal, and I slept on this decision. This thing was up for several days, and I was surprised that nobody else was jumping on it. And look, I ended up paying $150 for this item. And what it was a WWF. This is wrestling. It was an Attitude Era sticker book from 1999, and it included some stickers. They were an unopened pack, plus like some open stickers. And look, I had this as a kid. I distinctly remember having this because I wanted to complete the set. And I said to my newsagent at the time, or I guess my mum did because I was a fucking kid, I said, look, I want to buy an entire box of these stickers because I want to complete it. I have $50. For some reason, as a kid, I had $50 and I was like, I want to buy it in these fucking stickers. And the newsagent was like, okay. And my buddy at the time, who was one of those friends that seemingly had everything, had bought their own and completed their sticker book. And I was like, well, I want to fucking do that too, And then I just kept saying to the newsagent, like, I want to do this. Can you please fucking order them in? And the cunt never did. So that has been living with me ever since. So when I saw this on Facebook Marketplace for this sticker book for $150, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to buy this. And just like everything that I want to collect or I think that I would want, I got it and I was like, well, this is cool, but I'm fucking selling this shit, right? So I put it up on eBay. I could see there was a sold comp for just the sticker book for a lot of money. So the fact that I had the sticker book plus the 100 unopened packs and 500 doubles of these stickers, I could get a lot of money for it. I listed it up. I accepted a best offer. It was sent to the US to a cast member of the TV show Pawn Stars, and they paid a grand total of $850. So that was absolutely insane. They paid $850 for a fucking sticker book and stickers. Me as a kid, I'd pay $50 for that. As an adult, $850, no thank you. So that came in at number 4, a fucking sticker book. $150 into $850. Now, number 3 was a book set, and I again remember this exact same day. I was in a Save the Children's op shop, and there was these 9 books next to each other. And usually when there's a series like that, if I've never seen them before, I'm going to look them up. You usually see, I guess, like Twilight next to each other. You see other books, Amulet and all those sort of bullshit things that aren't worth any money. But when I saw this, there was 9 books there. I was like, well, what is this? Let's look them up. And I ended up buying them because they're worth a lot of money. I paid $36 for these 9 books. It ended up being the complete series. And holy shit, they sold quickly and they sold for $900. This is a series called The Ringing Cedars. It's by an author named Vladimir. I think these books are some sort of spirituality bullshit. I never got a chance to actually look into them because they sold so quickly. But man, $36 into $900 just for 9 books. And I think that led me to, I guess, looking more into books when it comes to spirituality. There's so much that sells when it comes to like religion, spirituality, that you need to be keeping an eye out for it. So yeah, that was number 3, 36 into 900. Now, number 2, again, I remember this fucking day. I was in a Vinnie's. It was a local Vinnie's. I paid $12 for these things. And what they were, and this is one of the best things I like about thrifting, is when staff miscategorize something or they don't know what it is, so they just put it somewhere it doesn't belong, and then someone like me can come in and just buy it cheap. They thought these were board games. They weren't board games. They were old school big box PC games. So I found King's Quest number 1 to number 4 big box PC. These are games from 1987 to 1988. Very collectible. People love this shit. They spent a lot of money on it. I spent $3 per game, so $12 in total, and they sold on eBay. They sold quickly. They sold for $1,000 fucking dollars. So much money just on these games. There was more games next to them that I ended up selling too. So somebody had donated their entire collection of big box PC games, and they just happened to be worth a shit ton of money. They'll buy a company called Sierra, and that's a really, really desirable company in terms of, you know, video game publishers, I guess. So yeah, $12 into $1,000 for King's Quest number 1 to number 4. These are games that were like booted onto floppy disks. So I couldn't even test these things. They're all going out untested, but luckily everything was complete in the box. And the person paid $1,000 knowing I hadn't tested them. So, I mean, that's just insane. I wouldn't even know how to test them. How would you test out floppy disk games in 2025? Most computers now don't even have a fucking CD drive, let alone a floppy disk drive. What the fuck? But that was number 2. 12 into 1,000, and now number 1. I'm sure you would know what this is. This is my biggest flip of all time. I only talked about it the other week, so it's not that exciting. It was $60 that I paid for it. They were Sonic the Hedgehog books, paperback books, kids books, found in a Vinnie's, $3 each, $60 in total, sold on eBay for $1,599.95. 60 into 1,600. Now, those are the returns that I like to see. Now, that was probably my favorite find for the entire year. Not so much because we made a shit ton of money, but because I was able to record finding them and posted that on social media. And those videos across all social media have reached over 500,000 views. So, I mean, that sort of exposure, I was going to say you can't pay for, but I'm sure you could pay for it. So getting those views is like, I mean, that's what I like, right? So being able to get more people to learn about flipping, learning about thrifting, all this sort of shit that you can find in op shops that other people don't realize, that you just have to go in and just be lucky. And that's what I was. I was just lucky that day. And I was just lucky to see these Sonic books in the kids' book section and be able to look them up. You know, like I said before, I'm not an expert book reseller. We have technology at our hands. If you see something interesting, look it up. That's all I did. We turned 60 into $1,600. There's videos of all of those finds on social media. Check them out. It's Flip Weekly on every single social media platform. So those were the top 10 finds of 2025. Once again, thank you for tuning in. It's been a big year. We're going to be bigger and better next year. Hopefully, Flip Weekly is only going to continue. It's only going to get bigger and better. Let me know if there's anything in particular you would like to see from Flip Weekly, whether it's videos, whether it's something on social media, more competitions, more giveaways, more stuff on the newsletter, more stuff on the podcast. Just write in. You can get in touch at matt@flipweekly.com. That's Matt with 1 T. Go onto the website, flipweekly.com. But that is all that I have for you today. Thank you again. I hope you have a great New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and look back to regular scheduled programming next week. Talk to you then.
Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.